Hi everyone, and welcome to Social Work 664, Treating Trauma. This is a super important course that you're going to be taking, and I'm Dr. Ginny Folk New. Students call me Ginny or Dr. Folk New or Dr. New, whatever you, Professor New, whatever you feel, Professor Ginny, whatever you feel most comfortable with, I'm okay with, okay? I also made an introduction video for week 1, so you'll be able to hear a little bit more about me. In this video, I want to go over the course and what's involved with the course. Generally, with assignments, I have already made specific videos for particular assignments. And so here, let's just start. So I don't have this in student view because there's a couple of things I want you to be able to see. So you'll also see some instructor notes in here too. All right, so as you know, announcements happen here, and I have several announcements coming at the very beginning of the course, even before the course starts. The course should open on Friday, but the course doesn't begin until Monday. But I wanted you to have the book list because we start right in on using the books. And these books I love these books. They're not really hard to get through. They are not expensive. And I have these books in my library and wouldn't do without them as a trauma therapist. So as you know, if you need announcements before this one, you'll go into announcements to see previous announcements. And sometimes I post things in the announcements, and there is a reply button there, so you can ask me questions. And in fact, one of the announcements that will happen early in the course will ask you to identify what technique demonstration type you're going to use. You'll know more about that in a few minutes. Okay, I've set up the calendar. See if it comes up. There we go. And in the calendar, there's all the assignments are in here. Not posting and responding though, because posting and responding, is Thursday. Posting. Responding, I'm okay with you responding between Thursday, even though the instructions say Friday. I'm okay with you responding between Thursday and Sunday, but not before Thursday. And that's because there's any number of students who do their very best to get things done and are balancing home and work and all kinds of other things. And so responses cannot be early, so everybody has a chance to be responded to. You can post early, though. So if you know you're going to be doing something on Thursday the following week, you can post anytime. Okay? So let's go to modules, because that's the next important place to go. That's all instructor stuff. Okay, you should be familiar with this section, this module. Here's information, there's more stuff about me. There's a resource center. Now here we have, just make these green so that when they make the course go live, all of these appear too. So there's discussion forum, grading, and then for each one of the assignments, so there's 3 main assignments: journals, technique demonstration, and a trauma explanation summary video. The journals, there are 3 journals that reflect on the material that you are covering. So that's the 3 books. And then there are videos and PowerPoints as well. And there's a video right here that speaks to, it's like maybe not even 6 minutes long. This video, this one right now, an overview of the course, and then I'm going to go over weeks 1 and 2, will be a bit longer because I also want to talk to you about, taking a trauma course, okay? Secondly, there is a technique demonstration that's due either week 5, 7, 9, or 11. You only present one of those weeks. And then the trauma explanation summary video is a group of 3 activity, and this also has an instructor video, and that's toward the end of the semester. Here is where you will upload your technique demonstration. So it's not in the week that you are presenting. So if you're presenting in week 5, you are going to both upload your technique demonstration here so that I can grade it, and then also in the week 5 discussion. Everybody will watch your technique demonstration and respond, giving you some feedback and reflecting on a question about that. In this course, by the end of the course, you have a chance to think about whether or not you want to participate in either of the certificate programs we have for online students. The Trauma Certificate Program, there's an application there. The IDD Practice Certificate is actually my baby, and so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me about that. Okay, so the weeks are set up in the same way as all the other courses you have taken up to this point. You know, here's your reading assignments. This is a discussion. There are some other activities, and we go through an overview. We talk a lot about neurobiology in this course. So neurobiology of trauma experiences. Pushing the edge has to do with just how far will our brain go to protect us, sometimes splitting into different identities, or what used to be called multiple personalities. Dissociation is not uncommon in people who have had trauma. Oh, my nose is itching. I've had a cold. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. Here in week 7 and 8, we start with trauma treatment, and special populations and interventions, also known as treatment, okay, which is really the central focus of the course. But there are some things that are important for you to know before we get to treatment. We don't want to treat people without having some idea of how people can be impacted by trauma, how our brain works, how it protects us. What are other elements that we might experience that protect us? So let's start here with the introduction, and we'll work through. By the way, you saw that there's a thing for a video. That is the video that I'm making for you now. I make videos every single week. I feel like, and maybe you're out of the habit of watching videos, but I cannot emphasize the importance enough of watching the videos that I make. I try to be at least somewhat interesting. I will talk about content, but I will also highlight important points that you need to know in completing some of the discussions, okay? So here we have our introduction, just an overview. I'm just going to go to the next screen. All right, so you'll start out by reading Perry and Salzwitz, Rothschild, and van der Kolk, and also information about plagiarism. We take plagiarism really seriously, and if you're in the trauma course in the online program, you are almost done with this program. Plagiarism should not even be a possibility at this point. So make sure that you really understand and use all those techniques that you know are important to avoid plagiarism. Okay, so we start with there's also a PowerPoint by Dr. Beth Barol, who is one of the faculty in our program, and she lays the foundation for understanding trauma and the impact that trauma has. And then we have 2 videos. These are Dr. Perry, who is the Perry in the Perry and Salzwitz book. and so you'll watch these. Now, the course is set up in 14 weeks, unlike all the other courses that you've taken, which have been 7. In this case, you have 7 2-week modules, okay? So some weeks you'll have something to do, and other weeks you won't. You won't have a discussion every week. So let's go to the next here. The discussion for this week, as usual in each of the courses, you'll make introductions. You're probably with other students who you don't yet know. Maybe there'll be people that you've made friends with and that are in the course. That's great. The most important part of this discussion is to give us a little bit about yourself. Try to do this in 2 or 3 minutes. Please don't go over 3 minutes or a lot over 3 minutes. And name 3 ways that you will take care of yourself in this semester. So we know that coming into a trauma course, people are going to be affected by the educational material. So if you have trauma in your history and you're coming into a trauma course, you're already thinking about your own experiences of trauma. Many of you have done your own work and you're good to go. It might remind you of your trauma, but you're not going to be affected in such a way that you're not able to manage in the course, okay? For some of you, maybe actually working on the trauma has not been something that you've wanted to do. And we understand that, and something about treating trauma we do have to pay attention to, and that is that sometimes people are afraid of dealing with the trauma that they've had because they don't want to remember it. And at the same time, they remember it all the time. So treating the trauma is a way to take that memory and archive it. It's not that it's going to go away, but it won't have the same effect that it does when it's not treated. And so we're going to talk about those effects, but you need to know that this course can trigger you to have images and thoughts, sensations, emotions that you might not expect. And some of you who have been blessed with having no trauma in your life may be traumatized by some of the material that we cover. Maybe you hadn't really realized that these are some of the ways that people have been treated. Okay? So self-care is really critical in this course. And this is meant to be something like if you were a therapist and you were working with someone and somebody came in and they wanted to tell you their trauma story, you cannot be in a position as a therapist to be triggered by somebody else's story. So if the educational material is triggering you, then it's time to seek out somebody maybe to support you. We shouldn't have to do these kinds of things alone. There are people out there that have expertise that can help us. Just like if I had a pipe broke in my house, I could try to fix it. I really could. I probably would not be successful in repairing plumbing in my house, or for that matter, electrical work, or other things. I need to call somebody in who has expertise in this to fix that. The same thing would be when we have trauma. Sometimes we need somebody that has some expertise to help us out, okay? And the trauma course is not going to be all that helpful in terms of treating your trauma. You'll learn about treating trauma, how to treat other people's trauma. And you might learn lots of things about yourself, but the purpose of the course is not to actually treat your trauma, okay? All right, so you're going to talk about 3 ways that you will take care of yourself this semester. Please be sure that they are doable. And then you'll make one response, a response to one classmate. And even though this says between Friday and Sunday, I'm okay with Thursday. If you need something before Thursday, then you reach out and email me and say, I'm going to a conference. Can I please respond before Thursday? And unless you're asking me every week, I will absolutely say yes. Okay? All right. So here is my video, and I've thrown something out here that for you to respond to my video if you choose to. If you don't have time, no worries. I'm not counting. I'm not worried about who responds. I just thought we might do something that would be a little fun. So things that make me feel safe are my home, my cat, and my family. I thought maybe at this point I would take a few minutes and tell you a little bit about why I teach this course and how I've learned about trauma. I certainly didn't set out in my career to be a trauma therapist or have any kind of expertise in the treatment of trauma. But I did go to school, as you all have, and I was affected in my master program, as I hope you have been affected in this program. I actually graduated, which I might mention in my introductory video, that I've graduated from Widener twice with my bachelor's degree and my PhD. All of my degrees are actually in nursing, and I'm a psychiatric clinical nurse specialist, and I'm also certified in biofeedback and working on becoming certified in neurofeedback, because trauma changes our brain and it affects our body, and those things are super important. So when I went for my master's degree, which I went to the University of Pennsylvania, and I worked on becoming a psychiatric nurse, my focus was on family systems, a lot like what you've learned in the social work program. And while I was there, I had a professor who I really loved. She was a terrible teacher, but boy, did she have some interesting things to talk about. And so she would tell stories about cases. She was an expert in treating multiple victims, mostly children. She was like in a daycare, or maybe kids on a bus, or in some place where there was a congregate setting where there was a bunch of kids who were all traumatized. That was her area of expertise. And she tried to, in whatever course she was teaching, she brought in all of this information about trauma. And I thought, wow, this is so important. And at the time, I was working with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, a highly traumatized group around, we won't even go into that right now, but there's lots of ways that people with IDD have been and continue to be traumatized. And it just was so applicable to that population that I took advantage of every opportunity I could to learn more about trauma and treating trauma. One of the things that I did was I took the Sexual Assault Nurse Examiners program, which was a series of maybe, 10 weeks of learning outside of my program. I never actually worked in a hospital to examine people, but I learned a lot about teaching people about trauma. And at the same time, this professor, who was amazing, she had a trauma group that met in the basement of a building once a month. And people from across Philadelphia, the directors of all kinds of agencies that supported victims, that supported offenders, the city coroner, all kinds of people from across the city came and had conversations about trauma. People came and presented. It was the first time I ever heard about EMDR. This was in the early 1990s. So maybe 25 years ago. These people were really hot on understanding the impact of trauma. It's a big thing now, right? But some of us were a little bit before this time. And so I had my practicum that year, and I went to this place where there were people would call in, as they do in counseling centers, and the therapists that were there would take the people they most wanted to work with, and then whoever was left over, the interns got. So as an intern, I saw some people that were seriously mentally ill, who also had significant histories of trauma. And without really knowing a whole lot about what I was doing, I found that my approach, listening to people carefully, and this is my voice tone always. If we were in a classroom and it were after lunch, it would be a time when you might think about taking a nap. So remember this voice when I write comments on your papers and give you feedback and send you an email and write announcements. This is my voice talking to you, okay? So I got lots of experience then. So when I went to actually work in a counseling center after I graduated, I ended up taking all the people who ever mentioned anything about trauma ever. And I just kept on learning, reading videos, talking to people. I had colleagues that focused on trauma. And so we just kept learning and learning and learning. And I hope that my experiences of doing that is something that I can share with you. It's my plan anyway, to share with you during this course. So when I make a video for you like this, I'm going to talk to you about things that are relevant to how people have been affected by trauma and what we might do about that. Okay? So I've made a couple of videos that are not weekly videos that do focus on that. All right, so let's move on. Get something to drink. So you're going to, in the first week, you're going to sign up. Well, that didn't help my voice, did it? In the first week, you're going to sign up for a topic. So there are several different topics. I don't know where okay, so this is just a sign up. Hang on just a second. Let me go back to modules. I'll show you down here. Major projects, right? Trauma explanation summary. These are the topics that are available. And so in that first week, you'll hit sign up and it will take you to a place where you'll be able to choose one of these topics. Now, depending on how many people we have in the course, we may or may not be able to have a presentation about forced displacement or natural disasters or gender discrimination. And if, let's just say, some of them fill up, but maybe one person is here and one person is here and one person is here, I will email those three people and say, we need to pick one of these because these are all triad presentations. Okay, so let's go back to signing up here. Okay, so this is the topic. Let me get myself off the next button. There we go. Okay, so hit the sign up and you'll sign up for a topic. By the end of the first week, I will post, once I have everybody signed up, I will post an announcement with a list of who's doing what topic, okay? Secondly, there's a technique demonstration presentation that you will do individually, and you need to sign up for a week, 5, 7, 9, or 11. And then later, by week 3, you need to choose a technique that you plan to present or demonstrate. You're using a video to do this. something that everybody can follow along with. There's instructions in the video. And so I will post an announcement and you will reply to the announcement. So this is first come, first serve. If you come and you're interested in a particular topic, you want to get in there maybe before week 3 and say, this is what I'm going to present. If you get in there later, you need to read all of what everybody has signed up for and choose something that's different. Now, it's okay if we have 2 or 3 meditations because there are different forms of meditation. We don't want the same meditation over and over again. We want a range of options. These are going to be tools for your toolbox when you are, working. Ways to help people learn how to calm themselves down, influence their parasympathetic nervous system. More about that later. Okay, and then for week 2, your first journal is due. Here are the assignment instructions. There is a video for this. Here is the grading rubric. And then finally, in the weeks where there's not a technique demonstration, in the module, like the 2-week module, where there's not a technique demonstration, we provide you with a self-care activity. So if there's not something you can think up yourself, you can use this, okay? And that is it for now. So I would like you to, if you have questions, first of all, there are a couple of announcements coming. One is about my expectations and things that I promise to do for you in the course. I try to be really responsive to students. But I do have, I should say, and I have expectations. You are this far into the program, so I feel like, these are things that you've been expected to do before. If you have any questions about anything in an announcement, you can always choose reply and ask me a question there. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can come here to the inbox. Oh my gosh. Sorry, my phone has paired with my computer without my permission. Okay. So if you want to get in touch with me, the other way to get in touch with me is using the inbox here in Canvas rather than emailing me in WooMail. I have thousands of emails in WooMail, and I don't want to lose student communication. If you email me or message me in the inbox here, I actually get a message in my WooMail that I have a message in Canvas. So I will come to Canvas and I will respond to you there. Then I can keep everything in one place, okay? I hope that makes sense. Let me know if there's a problem with that. I'm really looking forward to working with you for this semester, and I will see you in the course. Thank you. Bye.